Welcome to Quarantine Cooking with Donna. Now today we're going to make banana nut bread. This recipe has been widely requested for a long time. Funny story about this, about 20 years ago I made a cookbook for my family and there was a banana nut bread recipe in it. But in about 2005, I saw this banana nut bread in Southern Living and it really looked good. And I made it one time and my family oohed and awed over it. So that has been my go-to banana nut bread recipe for a long time. Needless to say, my daughter Courtney didn't realize I had changed banana nut bread recipes. And during this quarantine time, she pulled out the family cookbook and started cooking banana nut bread. And I told her that I had changed recipes. So today we're going to do the recipe that I changed 15 years ago in the kitchen. Okay, so before I ever start cooking the banana bread, I always grease and dust my bread pans. So you can do it in one of two ways. I take shortening and I wipe down the inside of my pans, but some people prefer to just take a cooking spray like Pam and spray the inside of the pans. I take 1/3 cup of sugar and 1/3 cup of flour and I mix it together, and then I dust the inside of my bread pans. And how you dust, you just have it inside and you start rolling the flour sugar mixture around. Some people just call for flour, some people call for sugar. I do a combination of both of it to just add a little bit of depth to it. Then I pour it into the other pan. And I do the same thing with it. I start dusting the inside. And then you just empty out the excess into the trash. All right, I already have prepared the pans ready for the bread. And so let's start beating the bread with all the ingredients in together. I start out with a stick and a half of softened butter and a package of cream cheese that has been softened. And I've already softened this to speed things up, and you mix it together in the mixer until it's fluffy. And as that's mixing together, I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar. And then I have 2 eggs in here. And like I always tell people, you never crack the eggs right into what you're putting it in. You always crack the eggs in a separate bowl in case something's wrong with the egg to begin with. And I'll beat that up until it's good and fluffy. So the butter, the cream cheese, the sugar, and the eggs are beating together. And I have measured out already 3 cups of all-purpose flour, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I put it into an old sifter that I got when I got married 45 years ago, and it still works great. And I sift these ingredients together. I love this old sifter. They don't make them like they used to. So I have that sifted together, and I'm going to add it to my butter mixture. And I'll start the mixer out going very slow so the flour won't go everywhere. And you just let that beat together. This bread is so delicious, especially in the morning for breakfast when you warm it up and put a little bit of butter on it. Now I add 3 to 4 mashed bananas, really ripe bananas. Get them really ripe. And this is 3 bananas that I mashed up that I'll add to this ingredient. I have a teaspoon of vanilla I'll add, or half a teaspoon. Scratch that, half a teaspoon. And I always measure my liquids over another container so it won't drip out everywhere. And then a cup of pecans. It calls for toasted pecans, but I'm kind of lazy, so I just chop them up and add to it. And you mix all of that together. Now that's finished mixing all together. And it's time to put it into our bread pans that I've already prepared, ready to go. This bread is so moist, and it'll make 2 of these bread pans, so you can always share with a friend or family member. I fill them half up. I can already smell the bananas. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Wish y'all were here to enjoy with me. For an added bonus, I personally always shake a little bit of cinnamon sugar on the top, just to give it that little hint of cinnamon. This bread is so good. I'm so glad I found this recipe. And I pop it into a preheated 350-degree oven and let it bake for 60 minutes or until you insert a knife in the middle of it and it comes out clean. Okay, the timer's gone off, so we're gonna check it. Oh, by the way, about the last 10 minutes of baking this bread, I always add a piece of foil to the top to keep it from getting too brown. I use a knife, I stick it in the middle of the bread, and you can tell it's come out clean. Both of them's clean. So that bread is done and ready to come out. Have a loaf for a friend. And you have a loaf for you and your family. When you get up for breakfast and you have a cup of coffee and a slice of this homemade banana nut bread, it will be so good. Enjoy and have a great day.